Hello and welcome to the P Security channel, everybody. It's been a long time since I've made a video, so today I'll be changing that by making a review on Avira free antivirus. Now we're seeing a lot of improvement in the free anti-malware industry. We've seen great results from Avast, AVG, Komodo, and a lot of the other free security suites and anti-malware products. So today let's take a look at Avira and see how it stacks up against the other free solutions out there. So first of all, the installation, it was very easy. I think it's a 117 megabyte installer, which is kind of like the average size nowadays. But the great thing was the installation was fast and the update was really small, so you could just get in and get going immediately. So no real hassle there. And if we take a look at the user interface, it's the same as it's always been, pretty much. It's got big green, check marks all around. We've got real-time protection. Firewall, it doesn't really offer its own firewall. This is something you should know. Although it shows firewall over here, all it does is it basically just allows you to access Windows firewall settings from here. That's all. I mean, this basically just Windows firewall. And web protection is based on this toolbar over here. So if you're not a big fan of these kind of things, well, you may not like their web protection. But apart from that, they've got real-time protection, and as we've seen in the past, their signatures have been pretty good. So today we'll put that to the test again with some fresh malware links. But before that, I'd like to know how light it is. So we'll take a look at the memory usage. It does run a few processes. We've got like 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, about 4 or 5 processes. The Ask one is, does work with this, but I think you can use the product without having to install this, so it's not really compulsory in case you're having a slow system. So, well, it's basically using around 45 megabytes of RAM, which is a little bit on the heavy side. I'd like to see this drop to like 15 or 20 as it used to be, but then again it might drop in the future, so it's really nothing to be worried about, although it's I'd say a slightly on the high side. Anyway, let's get to the link test and see how this product performs. Oh well, it is customary that I should show you that this thing is up to date before I get on with the link test. As you can see, it is, so let's get started. Here's the first file. It's got a lot of malware from this website, so a lot of them might just be different variants of the same file. We'll find out soon enough. The server seems to be awfully slow, so I'll spare you guys your time and pause the video. The file's downloaded, and this is what I see. It's a Trojan rogue detected by the Avira signatures, and I will move this to quarantine. So Avira did successfully protect me from the first threat. Let's see if that keeps happening. This is threat number 2. Well, that's weird. That took a long time to connect. Anyway, we'll try to run this one too. Again, I'll pause this while this downloads. Once the download completed, this is immediately what I see. Again, this is a Trojan rogue caught by Avira. So Even if I run that, I'll probably deny access. Yep, that was the default action. So anyway, we'll move right along. This is the third link, and it's on a different server. So that should give us some variety. Yep, this is a Trojan hijacker, and it's caught by Avira. So get rid of this. Here's the fourth link. And this appears to be a big one, judging by most Trojan standards. But it's almost done. And this one's also caught. It's Trojan Dropper. Move that to quarantine 2. Let's see what this one gives us. Well, this is even bigger. But we'll wait for it. Seems to have stopped there, so I guess I'll pause the video again. This one finished downloading, and it's caught by Avira again. It's a Trojan Rogue, and it's been denied access. So let's keep moving. Got a few more links. These are all zero-day malware links. It's needless to say, but I have to keep repeating that, just in case some of you guys might not be knowing. And zero-day links basically means I just grabbed them within the last 24 hours, so they're less than a day old. This one's quite fast, judging by malware server standards, of course. It's almost done, and no alerts on this one. So let's see what it does. Nothing from Avira so far. It is running in memory. That's quite interesting. Moving right along, let's try the next one. We'll soon come to know what kind of damage the last file does. This one's caught. It's another variant of a Trojan. So from the looks of it, Avira is completely relying on its signature to catch these threats. Of course, its signatures are good, but in case you get something like this, it doesn't seem to do much about them. I shouldn't be making any real conclusions now because we're not yet sure that this is a threat. I mean, it should be, but, well, you never know. Let's wait for this thing. Well, this one's still working, but I just saw this window pop up in the background, which is most likely, you know, that process that was missed by Avira. This one, right here. And it's probably some kind of Chinese adware, so it's not really a major miss. Of course, I can't say anything now because I'm not confirmed that this is indeed adware. But we'll find out soon enough. Seems to have installed successfully. another thing that you guys should probably know is that we don't have any real zero-day protection over here. If you see, we've got system scanner, real-time protection, firewall, web protection. All of this is signature based. And the only zero-day protection, or so-called zero-day protection we have, is the ahead heuristics, which is set on medium as default. But apart from that, we haven't really got any kind of behavior blocker or sandbox or, you know, an intrusion prevention system, nothing of that sort. So it's not really completely secure. So as long as it's in there in the signatures, you're good to go. And it's most likely it will have the malware in its signatures, because from experience I can say that Avira have really good signatures, but well, just don't mind the birds in the background. But when it comes to zero-day malware, no, it might be lacking somewhere. I mean, there must be a lot of loopholes, because there is no real zero-day protection involved in its detection process. So there's no real zero-day component in here. They claim to have something related to their cloud. They're working on a lot of stuff, but nothing has, you know, really worked ever since I've been testing Avira. So as you can see, this one's working fine. That's probably another Chinese adware. How dangerous it is, I don't know. We'll find out. Let's try the next link. This looks like another one of those, so we'll keep moving. This is a smaller one, most likely this is a Trojan. So let's see what Avira can do. It's caught it. So from here it looks like Avira is catching most of the, you know, Trojans with its real-time signatures. However, when it comes to adware, of course, might not be having signatures for those, and you know, they might not even be considering them malicious. So we'll have to wait and see what the other vendors come up with, whether or not that adware is malicious. I'll let you guys be the judge whether or not we should consider those adware as infected items in this computer. Now, some of you might be worried by looking at this thing over here. Don't mind, it's just a VBox problem with the display driver, so it's nothing to get worried about. It's not being caused by malware or anything. Probably go away if I just reboot the system. So here's the next file. And we haven't got any alert from Avira on that one either. So some stuff is definitely getting through over here, and most of it is adware. Let's run this one, and let's just close the browser window. And as you can see, here's another piece of Chinese adware. These things are annoying downright, but there's no real evidence to say that this is not a usable program. So I'll let the other engines be the judge. We'll do a scan with Malwarebytes and Hitman Pro and see if they detect this stuff. Still got 24 seconds. But you guys will probably see the results in the next second, because I'm gonna pause. So this one didn't get detected either. I'll just run that, and it looks like this is another variant of that Chinese adware. So we'll install that. So my views on this, well, there's no real evidence of some malware action over here, but we can definitely see some adware that's crept up into this computer. So now I will do a scan with Malwarebytes and Hitman Pro and show you guys the results. Well, I don't know if you guys can hear this or not. I'm not sure if I've turned on the system volume recording, but I can hear some really weird sounds in the background, like something coming out of a horror movie. But as you can see, I have no applications open, nothing really telling me that this should be running, so it is definitely annoying. And it's being caused by that Chinese adware, I can bet on that. So first I'll reboot, then I'll run Malwarebytes and Hitman Pro and get right back. So after running CCleaner and rebooting the system, I did not find any of those weird things happening or anything running, and Malwarebytes and Hitman Pro both seem to suggest that the system is clean. So therefore I will assume that this Chinese software is legitimate and give Avira a well-deserved clean sheet. So, well, there's a very thin line between malware and legitimate software. Sometimes it's really hard to distinguish. So we'll just go with these engines over here, and well, you can have your own opinions about this, and well, you can take your own opinion as the final one, whether or not this should be considered as adware. As for me, I would go with these engines, so no. So let's move right along, and now I will just pause Avira's protection for some time and get some deadly malware samples so that we can do the detection rate test and see how it deals with malware that is already on the computer. So here are the files. We've got 500 pieces of malware over here, and they're all pretty new. They're all from yesterday, so let's check out how Avira's signatures fare against these malware. This should give us a fair idea about their signatures, because we're going to get the detection rate based on files that are really major kinds of malware. I mean, we've got no adware, or we might have some, but most of it is just major stuff. So we are expecting a higher detection rate, and here we've got some things that Avira wants us to decide for ourselves. What should we do with these pieces of malware? And I'm just going to move everything to quarantine. I hope they have some way of selecting everything and moving it to quarantine. I'll just delete them, that'll be better. I don't need to keep any of this stuff. So I'll hit apply now, and let's see what we're left with. There you go, that's the end of that. And we just have 3 items. Well, that's quite impressive. So this is the number of items that it removed, divided by 500 gives us the detection rate, which turns out to be 99.4. We know that. So, well, we just have 3 items, and now I will just re-enable Avira. Although this doesn't seem to have a 0-day component, but let me just try run these just for the sake of it, just for fun, and see if Avira does anything at all. Nope, no reactions. Some of these may not work correctly because their friends have been removed. but Avira apparently doesn't seem to have any kind of protection to deal with files that are not in signatures, which is something to be worried about. This is another annoying piece of adware. Not going to run this. Well, it just doesn't let you exit, so yeah, I will run this now. It's fairly likely this will be detected because it's not letting me exit easily enough. Just wants to download a bunch of stuff from the web. It's really annoying, but I'm not sure if it'll be considered as malware by our engines over here. But anyway, let's run these, make sure they're in memory, and then we'll just do a quick scan. No real point of going into a lot of depth over here because Avira just clearly does not have anything at all to deal with this stuff. Even though everything is turned on, because they don't have any zero-day malware components, anything apart from their signatures and heuristics. So I will reboot the machine, run Malwarebytes and Hitman Pro once again, and come back with the results. So Malwarebytes didn't find much. It just found a few potentially unwanted programs, some downware. It says it's optional, so it doesn't necessarily recommend removing it. But on the other hand, Hitman Pro finds these files left over as Trojan and virus respectively, and we've got two pieces of malware over here, and this is all potentially unwanted program. So the conclusion, well, as we saw, Avira's protection just lacked. It isn't complete. I mean, it has great signatures, which is something to admire, but this protection isn't complete. If you want to use this, you probably have to use it in a combo with some kind of zero-day protection. Because if you don't have a zero-day component, threats will get in sooner or later. They will get in on a regular basis. And that is why I've seen a lot of people who are using Avira, get threats, and things happen. Like, let's say it didn't update for a few days, let's say you weren't connected to the internet, and all of a sudden you start browsing and you get some file before it updated. You will always have those kind of problems unless you have some kind of zero-day component that is always working regardless what files you've downloaded from the internet. So, all in all, it's a pretty decent free product. It gives you pretty good signatures, but on its own, I just don't feel the urge to recommend it at the moment. There are better solutions out there with zero-day components. In case you want the really good signatures, which they have, you can pair it up with, let's say, Private Firewall, Komodo Firewall, MCSoft Online Armor. There's so many other programs. So in that case, you will have pretty good protection, but just on its own, as I said, threats will get in, and you can't say that it'll protect you somewhat. It's like quantized thing, whether you're protected or not, because even one threat is good enough to completely ruin your day. So I wouldn't recommend this on its own, but paired up it can form great combos. Let me know what you think. Like this video if you did like it, and if you enjoyed it, make sure you subscribe to the Peace Security channel for more updates. See you guys next time.